What's going on YouTube is Donnie B all day. Blurry. B is for blurry. So listen guys, I'm bringing you another product that's made by United Cutlery. This is the M48 Tactical Commando. And it's 12 inches overall with a 7-inch AUS 8 steel blade with an ABS textured handle, which basically means hard and slippery. It's got some kind of plastic hand guard that actually does the job. It works well. Here's the deal. The sheath isn't so bad the way it's made. However, let's stick this guy back in there. The lashing, right? It's kind of complex. You don't just snap it. You don't just push it. You have to take this, and you have to take this, and let's try that again. Take this, take that. You have to put this inside of there, so that little flap right there sticks out, and then you take this piece and you stick it through there, so you have a whole, stick it through there, so it's this whole jigsaw puzzle. So for your quick release, it's push this through with one hand because you're doing it quick, and oh, that doesn't really work out. Then lift this out and then pull this out. It shouldn't be 3 steps to open a knife. That design, that design, while fun to use for somebody who likes puzzles, is not fun to use for somebody who needs a tactical knife. A tactical knife means combat knife. That's what tactical knife means. And if I'm in Afghanistan and I need a tactical knife, and I need it because it's a fighting knife, and if I need it for quick deployment or I'm dead with this thing, because if I lash this thing, I'm not getting it out. So your best bet is, when you have this knife, is let it dangle and then tie it onto your leg using the tie down. That way it's not doing all this all over the place, and then you have your quick deployment. And it does have enough of a friction grab to where, you know what I mean, unless you're running and jumping up and down, it's gonna hold. But even that, let's see how long it, there you go. So it really takes a little bit. So just walking around, having it on you, it's not gonna fall out. But going through that whole motion just to strap it, and it does have the little M48 skull and cross lightning bolts. Going through that whole motion to deploy this knife, oh my god, what a pain in the ass. But we're not talking about the sheath. We're talking about, is the M48 good steel? Is it gonna work? Is it gonna get the job freaking done? Well, let's think about what this thing is designed for. It's designed to be a field use knife, right? So field use knife, what does that mean? It's not just a fighting knife. It's not just to defend yourself against enemy soldiers, or, you know, enemy combatants, because they're not soldiers, we all know that. But it's designed to help you stay alive in an emergency situation, if this is what you have to stay alive with. It does have a ridged sawed spine, you know what I mean? And I'm going to test it because it seems pretty cool. I like the way they did it. I haven't used it yet, but we're going to figure it out. On a military survival knife, the reason that we have the false edge is due to the bayonets. The bayonets had a hole right here, and then they had a lug back here, and you had another lug on the bottom of the sheath right here. And what you did is you took that hole, and there was like a peg, and you stick the bayonet in there, and then you use this part as a wire cutter. And it was very effective, very, very effective. But so outside of that, the only purpose to have this false edge here, well, it's good for striking a ferro rod. I'll give you that. That's good for it. But basically, it's just for easier penetration. At that point, that's the best thing about having a false edge, is you have less material right here to make that initial pierce. And I have to say, with something like this, with a nice recurve and a big fat belly in the blade right here, when you go in and then turn and pull, the belly itself is giving you a nice channel, a nice open wound. You're gonna make somebody bleed out with that, but it's right here. This stuff, when this goes through the skin, it is ripping an area that's not going to be so easy to fix. And when you turn and come back out, there's no way you're not getting that sewed up in the field. It's just not going to happen. That is what is going to make your kill happen, you know, for when you get attacked by Bigfoot, not by people. Because we don't use these against people, just Bigfoot. So, all in all, I mean, it's an okay looking knife. It's not bad at all as far as you know what you're looking at. Is it, you know, can you appreciate the style, the size, and the overall appearance? Yeah, it's not so bad. It's kind of a throwback, you know. It looks like a 1970s fighting knife. This is exactly what you had back then. So what we want to do is we want to go and we want to knock it into some wood and slice some stuff, and we'll see how well this edge holds up. Speaking of the edge, let's see if it's even shave sharp, which it is not appearing to be. Trying different angles, and I'm getting some dander, and I broke a few hairs. Shave sharp, this thing is not out of the box. But you don't need it shave sharp as long as it's going to cut through something, and I honestly believe that we will have no problems cutting through some things. So let's go cut through some things. Yeah. All right, before we do any slicing, I want to see how the edge is going to hold up against some rattling and some beating. So let's take a few whacks at I'm getting stabbed over here by the other sticks. We're in my fire pit. So this is some hardwood, so let's just see if we can make a nice dent. And so far, we are making a nice dent. And remember, this wood is hard, dry wood. So if I'm going to have any kind of edge issues, it's going to be from doing this. I'm not going to go all the way through it because that would be not just a waste of my time, but a waste of yours. Nobody wants to see me cut through an entire log. What you want to see is A, can it chop? B, will it chop? And L, is it going to chop or be able to chop after it's done chopping? And so we put a nice dent into that log. Let's check the edge. The edge looks very good. There's no rolls, no chips, no dings, no D-lams, no cracks. Man, not even any homeless people hanging around it. I'll tell you what, as far as its ability to chop, it has good chopping capabilities. So that's not too bad. All right, we put a nice dent into there. So let's go see if we can't slice some stuff now. All right, so here's the question: is it sharp after having been banged around? And there's a nice piece of rope cut through, which is something that you're going to need in a survival situation. You're going to need to be able to cut rope. That one failed on the double cut, and it failed again on the double cut, and it failed again on the double cut, and there we go. We finally went through. So after banging around, does it lose some of its edge? Yeah, it'll lose some of its edge. But, and I mean, it's having a hard time. And I'm on the belly. I'm using the belly of the blade here, which should be its finest part. And there you go. It did cut through. Let's see some of this harder nylon rope. Let's see if we can get a little slice through there. And not a chance in hell. So the edge is not a slicing edge. However, remember that this is a fighting knife. If I slash somebody's skin, this is sharp enough to go through without a freaking doubt in my mind that'll go through. Oh, it's got a good bite there. But the edge issue has nothing to do with stabbing. And I brought you other knives. I brought you that the MOD, the Sheffield MOD, and that thing people complained about the edge all day long with. But I'll tell you what, I would pick that up in a fight over just about anything else on the planet. It was just mean blade. Look at the video on the Sheffield MOD. So that's where you're getting out of here. Now, I did notice something on this one that is highly disappointing. I just noticed this. The handle, I don't know if you can see it, just split. It's split here and it's split there. So what's happening is the blade from impact is moving this way while the handle's going that way, and it's literally opening up that handle. You can see it right there, and it is tearing it apart. So let's hit the spine a little bit, try to get that re-lined up, because right here it's pulling away. You can see that. So use the spine, we'll knock it down, and that did exactly what I needed it to do. It closed it back up, but I have zero confidence in the rest of the way. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if you can see that, but it is turning. That is a wobbler. So my first impressions on the M48 is that it looks okay. It's got a throwback look to it, but so far it sucks. What I'm going to most likely do is, you see here, there's an Allen head. So what I'm going to do is take this apart, pull this off, pull the handle off, and then maybe I'll just grab myself a nice hunk of wood, and I'm assuming this is just a rat tail. What I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to make my own handle and get rid of this thing. This thing is kind of garbage. A, it's split on me, and B, it freaking split on me. But it's hard and it's slippery and it's not very good. So that being said, let's see if we can't get something else done with it. Can we shave wood, which in a survival situation would be important? It's not really good at doing that. Another thing is, when you do shave wood, you want to put your thumb right on the spine. These serrations right here for the saw suck to put your thumb on. That is horrible, horrible, horrible. Actually, let's try some feather sticking before we get into anything else here. I have a little faith in the fact that it should be able to. And what I'm doing is I'm making, you can't see them, they're just falling right off, but it's making these tiny little guys. I'm gonna go to a side grip here, and I'll tell you what, man, it's literally, I'm getting a bunch, and I mean a bunch of these. I don't know even know if you can see them, but a bunch of those, and you stack a bunch of those together, obviously it's going to take a spark pretty well. That's not a question, but it's not feathering at all. All right, so here we go. We're going to see if we can't hit a little chop here, and it's good for that. The cut wasn't clean. It was kind of a jagged, rough cut, but it is what it is. Let's test this saw. I have high hopes for the saw. Let's get it better in there. I'm gonna get some good leverage. Let's see. The saw is fantastic. Look at that notch. Look at that notch. Holy moly. That is beautiful, actually. All right, so what we know about it so far is that the edge sucks, the handle sucks, the construction sucks. The saw is wonderful. You know, they should have just not even made a blade and just gave it a freaking saw. Holy moly. All right, let's see. Finish this off here. And I'll tell you what, it saws a whole lot smoother than it does on the chopping action. Speaking of chopping action, this isn't a very good piece of wood, but on this knife, I think that's going to help out. Let me actually get a better piece of this blade on there, because my baton is lightweight. There we go. Got a little bit of split there, but this is dried caca wood. I think that's the exact term, caca. So it's nothing special, but it is going through. And the main thing is it going to warp, chip, dent, scratch? So what I have to, here's the thing. So far, the Auss-8 steel is holding up really well. As far as what edge they have on it, which isn't much of an edge. However, Sheffield MOD fans, you know that a slicing edge is not all that important on a fighting knife. This will go across your skin and cut you open. That is without a doubt in my mind. But it's a strong edge. It's definitely strong. It's taking a beating, and the edge is not reacting in a bad way to the abuse. It's taking it really well. So far, shining moment on this entire knife is right here. That saw. That is fantastic. I am digging that. The rest of the knife, I mean, you can't use it as a bayonet because there's no lug, there's no barrel hole, there's nothing to attach with. So as a bayonet, it's useless. The scabbard, the hold in the scabbard is just awful. If you're using it as a fighting knife, there's no way you're doing 3 steps to take out a blade that's going to save your life. No way in hell. So you think, okay, well then it's going to be a camp knife. I could take my time getting it out of the sheath. Well, that's great until this starts happening and you begin using it as that camp knife and you start hitting wood and this thing becomes a freaking issue. So I have a whole lot of issues so far with everything here down, the sharpness, which I'm going to actually put an edge on it because I'm not going to leave it like this. You know, a knife like this should have a little bit of an edge. So I'm going to hit it and sharpen it a little bit. But, man, it is disappointing as a field knife, right? I mean, if I'm in Afghanistan and all of a sudden I'm separated and I have to live with what I have on me and this is the knife that I have, I mean, it's going to be fine to defend myself against somebody, but as a field knife, there's no way in hell. There's no way in hell I'm going to have this knife over the long terms because eventually the handle is just going to snap off. And a knife without a handle is pretty tough to use when you're talking about emergency situations. In an emergency, can you use it? Hell yeah, you could. Frick, man. Frick, what is that? I mean, you could sharpen a tire and use it in an emergency situation. That has nothing to do with it. But I know in an emergency situation, I want to make sure that I have something that is not going to break at all. That Gerber infantry knife I did the video on, guys, that is one of the best fighting knives I've ever held. The K-Bar Big Brother, forget about it. This guy right here, not so much. Not so much. I'm going to bring you a Pro Elia too. That's fantastic. And you guys are going to dig it. But until then, let's take this guy right here and go throw it. See if either the handle's going to break or we're going to stick it in. Let's go find out. All right, so for this knife, this is going to be my test of tests. I'm going to give it a 5-yard throw. It's either going to break or it's going to survive. And it survives. I got to say, with the recurve and the shape of the belly, one very positive thing, this thing left without an issue out of my hand. I held it way down here when I let it go. My main concern was getting caught up in the lashing, and I just let it dangle behind me. And when I let it go, I had my middle finger right here on the bottom of this, the quillin here, the finger swell, and that's where I let it go from. I'm sorry, the pommel, and it left my hand with a very nice ease and very nice flow. So if I could say anything about this knife that's really positive, is it leaves the hand well. All right, so we're getting blurry over here. Let's take it to the rack. Well, here we have it. United Cutlery's M48 Tactical Commando. So far, I have to say, I have a love-hate relationship with this entire package. Start with the sheath, love-hate relationship. I love that it can be tied down. I love that it has a water release hole. I love that it's a durable plastic. And that's about it, because then we get up here and we have that combination lock, and I have to say I abso-freaking-lutely hate it. Hate it. Awful. Let's get over to here, and we have the knife itself. The Tactical Commando AUS 8 stainless steel M48. Yeah. Looks good. It's not comfortable, but it's not uncomfortable in the hand. The bee likes it. So, oh yeah, hey, the bee parked down. He's like, yeah, it's not so bad. But then he left, so maybe I guess it was. It's good to look at. Right here is fantastic. One of the best knife saws I've ever used. One of the best spine saws on a knife. It's just really good. I like that it has a nice big fat belly in the blade. That's really cool. I like that it's AUS 8. I can appreciate AUS 8. It's not the greatest, but it's definitely not the worst. But this handle, man. This handle, the whole construction, how it's done. Whew. The edge I can live with because I can either put an edge on it myself, or if I'm using it in as a fighting knife, then I don't really care. As a throwing knife, I definitely don't care about the edge. That's not going to matter one iota. As a throwing knife and a saw, this is definitely a win-win for me. As far as every single thing else is concerned, it is an absolute fail. I am going to try and rework this to make it a little bit better. Definitely going to add a new handle. Without a doubt am I adding a new handle. And I'm going to see if I can't make this thing, down to be all day worthy. Because as it sits right now, it is definitely not. And that is sad. That is sad. I kind of had some high hopes for this. It was going to make or break my decision to buy more of their M48 products. And so as it stands, I mean, there's a couple I'm looking at, but, I just don't know. I just don't know. I'm going to have to really put some thought into that. But we will all soon find out. Until then, I am Donnie B all day. Until next knife.